Waiting it for. There it goes. Sweet. All right. Hello, hello, and welcome back to Retrieving Sanity, your podcast for all mental health, addiction, recovery issues, and topics. And today we have a very special guest, and her name is Sara Nakamura. I said that right, correct?
You did. I love the inflection on it. Thank you.
Well, I'm so glad that I did because I have a horrible habit of getting people's names wrong, and it's a nasty habit, but I'm trying my best to actually get over it. So thank you. But you wrote two books, and I see one of them right next to you, and it says "Stressed Out." So you're an author, obviously, but can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your books?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, Keegan, thank you so much for having me. We have gotten into such a different space and world, these days with mental health and not talking about it. So thank you for having this platform to shed some more light on it, to give people some insights and, to have this conversation because many times we don't and we don't, talk about it enough and we don't
Hmm.
make it a normal conversation. So thank you for that.
Of course.
Yeah, as you said, my name is Sara Nakamura. My book is called Stressed Out and Don't Know What to Do. That's what happens is, people get stressed. They don't know what to do with their lives. They don't know how to recover from it. They don't know
Hmm.
how they got there. They don't know what to do next. And, I came from the corporate world. A little bit about my story
Hmm.
is I live in Las Vegas. I grew up
Ooh.
here, but I'm from Hawaii. So,
Ah.
the relaxation, the chill vibe, that's my heritage, that's my family. But
Ah.
growing up in Vegas, it's such a fast-paced world, 24/7 town.
Hmm.
People call it Sin City. Everywhere you look, people are chasing something.
Hmm.
Whether it's, in the casino or whether it's, in relationships or just that fun. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? People come to Vegas to escape their lives.
Hmm.
And, I got caught up in, that cycle. I got caught up in the cycle of working too much.
Ah.
And I'm sure I'm sure you got a few people out here that are listening that get caught up in
Myself
in working too
included.
much.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if we talk about addiction, it doesn't necessarily have to be about substances, and
Hmm.
we can go down that path. But definitely, I see so many people addicted to their phones, addicted to social media, addicted
Hmm.
to just chasing something, that next
Uh-huh.
dopamine hit, right? And
Yeah.
for me, it was work. I
Mm.
I worked in the hospitality industry. I was a food and beverage manager,
Mhm.
and I was the only one that could do what I did at the time. I had over
Ooh.
200 employees under me, and I got exhausted,
Mhm.
overwhelmed, and burnt out, which is the subtitle of the book. And, I got burnt out in the sense that my hair was falling out. I was having
Mm.
heart palpitations. Every time I walked into my office, I was just having a little bit of like, going on. And I didn't know that that wasn't normal because guess
Ah.
what? Everyone else around me was doing the same thing.
Mhm.
And so we kind of wore it like a badge of honor in the sense of, hey, I worked 6 days this week. Well, you know what? I worked 6 days and 14 hours, yesterday. So, you kind of have this little competition that kind of goes on with the people around you.
Mhm.
And, it became one of those things where I almost had a nervous breakdown. I didn't know
Mm.
what that was at the time, but I walked into work one day and it was about 5 o'clock in the morning, and my boss just went off on one of my coworkers because she sat down and had a cup of coffee. She just needed a little reprieve, a little bit of a break. And in that moment, I just went, I can't handle this anymore. I got a phone call from home. When you get a phone call at like 5 o'clock in the morning, you know it's not good.
Mhm.
And my dog died. And
Oh.
that was my last straw. Keegan, I just went, I'm done with this. I'm done with this life. I'm done with this, this kind of lifestyle.
Mhm.
And I went into something totally different.
Ah.
I
What was
went
that?
into the I went into the health field. I became a massage therapist.
Going from one fast-paced environment to quite the opposite. That's interesting.
Absolutely. It was the one place where I knew that if I could, be relieved in my tension and my stress levels, that if I could do that for somebody else, how I knew it felt for me, that's what I wanted to do with my life.
Mm.
And so that's what I did. I became a health coach. I've helped people with their nutrition, with working out, with becoming a personal trainer. I did so many of these different things in the health world to kind of, just really make things come together for myself, but also for other people. Because what do we
Mhm.
do a lot of times? We kind of go outwardly and we go, okay, what's good for other people? We don't necessarily look out for ourselves,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
I'm sure you know that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, plenty.
Had that a little bit yourself,
Mhm.
but that's, that's where I came from in all of this. But what started happening is that I started again getting burnt out because I wanted to help everybody. And so I
Mm.
started to get exhausted. I started to get overwhelmed and I burnt out again.
Oh
And so
no.
what I realized was you can't just have it in one area of your life. You can't
Mhm.
just relieve stress in just your physical body or just your relationships. You have to do it everywhere in your life. And so what I
Mm.
call that is the stress cycle. And
Oh, okay.
yeah. And so in my book I talk about the stress cycle quite extensively. You
Mhm.
you can break it from the inside, meaning you can change your emotional state, you can change things from within you,
Mhm.
because if you try and break it from the outside, it's just going to come back and it's going to cycle over and over. So we have to break
Ah.
it.
Okay. So that's so interesting because you totally did what I would have done. I would have went out there, been like, "Oh, hey, I'm going to go help people, but now I'm going to help as many people as I can." And I definitely am one of those people that will overextend myself and then some. And I will claim that it's for the betterment of everyone else. But you were able to at least sit there and say, "Hey, I'm still broke. There's still something going on." And so you developed the stress cycle, correct?
Yeah, so what I did was I took the stress cycle that's already there and I really
Mm-hmm.
just put it in simpler terms.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, because, when you think about stress, people go, "Oh, I've got stress. Everyone does."
Yeah.
It's just a matter of getting, more rest. I just need a vacation. But
Mm-hmm.
then what happens? You go on vacation, you let it all go, and you pick it right back up as soon as you go back to work or go back to the relationship or, whatever was stressing you out in the first place, you go right
Mm-hmm.
back to. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's isn't that kind of one of the follies of a vacation though, is most people can't really seem to really relax and de-stress because they know that they're anticipating that work load that's already waiting for them whenever they get home because they know it's there. It didn't disappear just because they're on vacation. And so I've heard that we should actually take a couple days after vacation to kind of ease back into where we're actually at. Is that kind of a good thing to do?
It can definitely be a good thing. I would say that that's a great thing to be able to do, is to come back,
Mm-hmm.
just to reground yourself, do your laundry and, all of the different things to
Mm-hmm.
kind of get yourself back in that place. But here's the truth of it. The
Yeah.
truth is, you've got 7 days off,
Mm-hmm.
and what do you want to do? Do you want to, take a day off and relax before and a day, to recuperate? Most people don't.
Yeah.
They want to like go all the way, spend every minute they can at the resort or,
Mm-hmm.
as much as they can.
Mm-hmm.
Because most people honestly don't even get 7 days off these days.
No.
It's a
Okay.
long weekend or it's, something along those lines. So, in
Mm-hmm.
an ideal world, absolutely take that time to recenter yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But what I would suggest though is to not have a vacation to escape your life.
Mm.
Have a vacation to extend what is already going on for you and go, hey, you know
Ooh.
what? Whatever's happening, whatever stress that I have in my life,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm not getting away from it,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm going to help refill my cup. I'm going to replenish what's going on. Everything that I gave to other people,
Mm-hmm.
let's fill it back up. This is my time
Mm.
to refill and to reconnect, rather
Ah.
than that mentality of let me get away from,
Mm-hmm.
whatever's going on at home. because, like you said, we
Ah.
pick it right back up as soon as we walk back in the door to our
Mm-hmm.
house.
Yeah. So that's really interesting. Kind of shifts my whole perspective on what a vacation really is. And it's making me wonder, isn't that what a vacation should have been in the first place, though? Going to do things you will want to go do, not necessarily just as an escape from reality, but it's something that you want to go do. I mean, everyone wants to escape from reality nowadays, but what what would the ideal vacation look like to you?
Ooh, the ideal vacation.
Uh-huh.
So, to me, well, it depends on where you are in your life, right?
Mhm.
So there's times in my life where I want the comfort. I want to go someplace and do something that I've already done that I know that I love. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So if it's, going to California and seeing my family, I just know that if we get to the beach, that's going to be, the icing on top of it. But
Mhm.
to be able to reconnect with my family, how I grew up with my cousins, I don't have any siblings, so my cousins are like my brothers.
Mhm.
And so to be able to have a vacation where I go see them, and if we go out to dinner, great. If we stay at home, make dinner together, great.
Mhm.
Again, if we hit the beach because the weather's gorgeous, fantastic. But if not, that's all okay too.
Mhm.
It's setting those expectations, and if you set the expectations of, hey, I just want a new scenery, I just want a fresher breath, breath of fresh air, you know,
Mhm.
that sort of thing. Your expectations can be met very easily.
Hmm.
But I see people all the time that come to Vegas and they're like, um, for example, I work in a 5-star spa,
Mhm.
and we have clients that come in that can spend money on nearly anything and everything that they want.
Mhm.
And the Sphere is a place where, I'm not sure if you've heard of the Sphere, but it's a
Mhm.
new place for concerts and experiential
Ooh.
type of situations where, the seats move and the air comes. Think of a Disneyland ride, like for
Oh, okay.
adults.
Like a
With
5D theater.
exactly, that's exactly what it is. And so you get this, like experience all around you, and you hear the music,
Mhm.
and people were. This guy came in and he was saying, he spent money probably about $300 to $500 per ticket.
Oh,
He's
wow.
had he had like a $700 dinner that night.
Mhm.
He came in for a big convention in town that we have
Mhm.
every year, and he was so disappointed all the way around in his whole experience. And I went, "What are you looking for?" And he couldn't
Hmm.
answer. He didn't have something that he knew would fill up his cup. He
Mhm.
just had this, well, I want this to be the most amazing experience. What does that mean? So what's
Hmm.
your expectation level on your vacation? What's your expectation level in your relationships, in your home life, and anything that we do?
Mhm.
If we value the little things, then
Mhm.
we're going to be able to meet those expectations. And anything on top of that is amazing.
Ah, okay. I love that because that gives a lot of flexibility for a vacation and what someone could consider a vacation. So I guess after COVID, a staycation was kind of the go-to thing because, we couldn't really go anywhere. But it does seem like a vacation is more about the mindset, not so much the travel. Or, well, travel is good for the soul, but it's not necessary for a vacation, I guess, is the key point.
Sure, not necessarily. And on the other hand of things,
Mhm.
I also love going to places I've never been, never experienced,
Mhm.
food I've never tasted before. You know what I mean? A site that I've never seen before, a
Mhm.
building, a museum. You know what I mean? And when we look at things from a curiosity standpoint,
Mhm.
then we go, oh, what can we do with this? What's next? What's around the corner? And you can be delightfully, um, it can be a delight rather than an expectation that everything is going to be great.
Mm. Yeah, it does seem that expectations can be quite a hindrance on everything, especially vacation, because it's supposed to be stress free. It's supposed to be replenishing, and whenever you're stressed about it, it just does not do any of those things. But whenever it comes to expectations, what do we do about expectations? Because I mean, expectations are second nature for basically anyone and everyone, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we can either have an expectation of meeting it, exceeding it, or,
Mhm.
not even getting to it.
Mhm.
But here's the thing is that if expectations aren't met,
Mhm.
do you internalize it? Do you take it in and go, ah, it's going to ruin my entire time? Or do you go, hey, that's just information. That didn't work out because
Mhm.
something else is supposed to happen. Or take more responsibility. That didn't work out. What can I do to shift this?
Mhm.
So, depending on where you want to come from, and I'll tell you, I mean, I would love to say that we can always come from a how do we make this better? I'm gonna be, on the higher end of things and make things great. That's
Mhm.
great.
Mhm.
We'll help you with tools to do that. But truthfully, when you're emotionally exhausted, when you've gotten off a plane, when you're tired, that's not always gonna happen. When you're hangry, that's not always the case. So worst case scenario is things don't go right for you. What can you do
Mhm.
in that one moment? and
Mhm.
and I mean, there's so many people that talk about breathing, and
Mhm.
that's the basics. It
Yeah.
really is the basics. The Navy SEALs do it. They do the box breathing, which I'm sure many of you have heard about.
Mhm.
That inhale, count to four,
Mhm.
hold it for four, exhale for four. It really just brings you into present moment. And when you're in
Hmm.
present moment, then you can just reevaluate what else is around you. What else
Yeah.
can we do? It doesn't have to be anything fancy, it doesn't have to be anything too exciting. But what it does is helps to ground you. And instead of being mad at somebody else for, you know, they made you wait 2 more minutes, or whether, you had to wait in a longer line because somebody had a problem or a challenge, and now, you know, you're behind on what you thought you were going to have dinner at 7 o'clock on the dot. Things happen. And so it's just information, whether we hold on to it or
Mhm.
whether we let it go. So what happens a lot of times is we hold on to it, and then they
Mhm.
come see me and get a massage and go, I've got tension, I've got a pain in my neck, Sarah. And I sometimes go, who's your pain in the neck? Because it's not just about the situation, it's who we
Mhm.
attach it to.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And then we don't take that responsibility.
Yeah.
And it's easier to blame somebody else, you know? But when we show up for ourselves, when we go, okay, what's my part in this communication? Which leads
Mhm.
me to self awareness, the self
Ah.
awareness and communication. That's the second book.
Okay.
And when we come to realize what my part is, what my role is in communicating, have I articulated to you what I'm looking for?
Mhm.
Have had Did you agree to have an expectation of, a service or a conversation, or meet me at this certain time? Or did I not communicate that well? And then I'm sitting there waiting for you at a restaurant, and we have our times mixed up, right?
Mhm.
It happens a lot in the real world these days, because
Mhm.
we're on Zoom, we're on, on the digitals all the time, and with the different time zones. I'm sure it's
Mhm.
happened. Someone
Mhm.
says, "Okay, I'll meet you at 4 o'clock." Well, they're on Mountain Time, or I'm on Pacific Time. And we kind of have our wires crossed.
Mhm.
So, what's our responsibility? What's our expectation?
Mhm.
Do we check in with somebody and go, "Hey, I'm running on time. Are you?" You know, rather than it's 5 minutes past the time and then go, "Oh, by the way, I'm running late." You know what I mean? So
Yeah, yeah.
so so when you get ahead of it,
Mhm.
you can really have a good connection with somebody, rather than, the anxiousness of where's
Uh,
that person at, or they've already disappointed me, or I've let them down. So,
mhm.
yeah.
That's awesome. And so it sounds like you really shouldn't. Well, I shouldn't say you. I shouldn't put expectations on expectations, if that makes sense. I shouldn't expect myself to handle an expectation a certain way every single time because it's not going to be every single time that that situation plays out the same way, right? Um, and so I love that getting ahead of the expectation. Can you tell me, like, getting ahead of it though, like, because some people have terrible anxiety, and a lot of that comes from fear of expectations or that false expectations appearing real, you know? So, how can someone with anxiety get over, like, oh, they were supposed to meet me here, but uh, I haven't heard from them or anything? And yeah, it is a digital world, so we have those text apps that track people's phones and everything, you know? So, before someone gets to the stage of panic checking their phone before uh, what can someone do to sit there and kind of catch themselves in the moment whenever if they're able to catch themselves with the breathing, what else can they do to really eliminate their stress around that moment? Does that make sense?
Sure, sure, absolutely. And I think the fear analogy, you know, is it real? Of course it's real. It's real to that person.
Mhm.
It's whatever we make out of it,
Mhm.
and it doesn't mean that it's real to you. But if
Mhm.
it's real to me, my body's definitely going to react to it. I
Mhm.
am going to have those heart palpitations. I am going to, have shortness of breath. I am going to sweat. I am going to have my hair fall out. Those are signs from my body telling me that I'm stressed.
Mm.
And when you start to recognize the pattern, like my hair started coming out for months and months
Mm.
before I realized that I had severe anxiety, before I realized that I was having panic attacks. I had no idea
Mhm.
what that was because nobody said, "Hey, Sarah, you know what? I think you're having a panic attack." They didn't. I
Huh.
mean, who's going to connect with you and and let you in on that? It doesn't happen
Mhm.
too often.
Mm.
So, when we start to understand and recognize in our own selves, communicate with our bodies will talk to us. Our bodies
Mhm.
are always communicating. And so, when you start to have that anxiety that you're talking about, again, bringing yourself back to present moment, here's
Mhm.
three things I love to share with people. And it's about connecting to your body. So, again, the self awareness and communication and breaking the stress cycle. Two different books bringing it together. But
Mhm.
here's the thing is that, when we start to get elevated and you start feeling yourself breathing a little bit heavier, there's a point in acupressure. It's called the CV17. CV17. It's in the
Mhm.
center of your chest. Just start rubbing it. You know how, like, when you have a pet, an animal, a dog, and you come up
Mhm.
to them and you start rubbing their chest and they start to calm down?
Mhm.
It works with us too.
What?
Yep. It's an
Huh.
acupressure point. And you start recognizing what your body's doing. Your body starts to calm down. Your nervous system starts to calm down. And
Huh.
it doesn't look weird. When you do the breathing where you go inhale, hold, exhale, inhale, exhale to bring you
Mhm.
back into present moment. I love
Mhm.
that breathing technique too.
Huh.
But if you're doing that in public,
That one does
some
look a little weird.
someone might be like, "Wait, are you doing a roller coaster on your hand, Keegan?"
Woo.
You can do it in your lap. You can
Mhm.
trace your hand,
Mhm.
right? Anything that's going to bring you back to present moment. But I love this one because, you're just sitting there
Mhm.
making little circles, you know?
I never knew about that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Huh.
And then so many times when you start to have tension in your body, so
Mhm.
many people start getting headaches.
Yeah.
Number one, hydration. Hydration, hydration.
Mhm.
Hydration is the key to so many things these days. There you go. There you go. I'll be the first one to tell you that. And
Mhm.
but a little bit deeper
Mhm.
is we start to have tension that goes around our head. There's 2 points around your temples. So if
Mhm.
you bring your two fingers across, of course your forehead's going to be nice and strong. You're going to feel that bone, But then you
Mhm.
feel that little soft spot, and
Mhm.
then you just make little circles. What that does is relieve some of the tension around your head, and it starts to become a trigger for your body to go, oh, let me release what's on my mind if I'm overthinking, if there's too
Mhm.
much happening, too much going on.
Mhm.
It serves as two purposes. Like I said, it it gets you grounded.
Mhm.
It brings something to have a trigger for you to
Mhm.
physically do,
Mhm.
and it relieves the actual muscles around your head and face.
Huh.
So that's when you're getting in your head too much. And then a lot of times when we're talking too much or we don't know what to say,
Mhm.
where do we bring that in? Our throat and our mouth. So now, again, do the same thing. Bring down your two fingers to
Mhm.
the the soft part of your jaw. Some people it's a
Mhm.
little bit harder because it's really tight, and make little circles here. This is your masseter muscle. Your masseter muscle is the strongest muscle in your body.
Mm.
It helps you chew, it helps you speak. And when we're not speaking properly, we're holding things in. We're holding those emotions in. We're holding that anger, frustration, sadness in. When we're able to release this, again, it's a trigger, physical trigger to release it, release the muscles, but it's also an emotional trigger to let go of whatever is holding you back, whatever you're not saying, whatever you're not expressing.
Huh.
So those are three ways that you can, take that anxiety, bring it back in, start to mitigate it, and you can do that and get ahead of your anxiety, get ahead of what's happening, and really speak into your body, connect to your body.
Hmm.
And then when you realize that, okay, you're just in a space. If I'm late, I'm late. Traffic is going to be traffic. But we can also then look at our language. So that's a physical way to do it,
Mhm.
and an emotional way to do it.
Mhm.
Let's look at our language.
Okay.
Our language speaks volumes.
Mhm.
So if I'm saying, you know what, I'm always late, Keegan, I'm gonna meet you at this time, but I'm always late. What's going to happen? Is I tell my mind that, I tell my subconscious that, and I make myself late. I used to
Mm.
be late for everything because I was the one that was like, hey, you know me, I'm always late.
Mhm.
So everyone expected that for me, and I expected it for myself. So I
Mm.
changed the script. I had a client that I did this with, and I'm like, okay, Lisa, now let's change it to I'm just on time. You don't need to set the expectation to fail of I'm 5 minutes early, because a lot of people
Mhm.
think that. They think that's
Uh-huh.
the solution. And if that's the solution for you, great. But what I like to say is I'm just on time. I'm just on time. And then it clears this path energetically. It clears a path for you to leave the house, to go to remember your keys, to remember your, you know, whatever you need to bring with you,
Mhm.
and to set yourself up for success. So that's another way to get ahead of it, is start forming those habits and listening to your language.
Ah. That's very interesting. And I love that because the first thing that popped into my mind was Gandalf from Lord of the Rings. Because a wizard is never late, he is always on time. So, um, and that's great though, because it does seem that that would really kind of, hmm, yeah, I like that. That mindset is perfect for someone such as myself. But I've got to say that that chest rub one, I've got there. That one is just tripping me out for some reason, and I think it's just because like you mentioned that it works on animals, and so it's like, oh yeah, we are animals, duh. But getting ahead of these expectations and getting ahead of, well, maybe not our bad self per se, because there is not a bad self, but getting ahead of these expectations and everything is great. But what do we do whenever we've gotten to that spot of being able to release, to kind of get that stress relief? How, because it's not found just being present in that moment, it's found elsewhere ish, right?
Yeah, so a few things about that
Mhm.
is is and if I can go back to what you were saying
Mhm.
earlier when
Of
you
course.
said, oh, we shouldn't do it this way.
Mhm.
Well, if we should it on ourselves, right? You've heard that,
Yeah.
right?
Yep, yep, yep.
But instead of shooting on ourselves, it's what can we do?
Mhm.
Again, back to that possibilities rather than I should have called, I should have said this, I should have done that. It's
Mhm.
what could I have done? What can I do? What will I do next time? So bring
Mhm.
it back to that shift in language. Number
Mhm.
one.
Yeah.
Number two, find out something that will positively be resourceful for you.
Mhm.
Because what happens a lot of times is we feel like we've run out of resources. We feel
Mhm.
like we don't have a choice. We feel like I can't do something. Like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place is what a lot of people say. Or I had no choice. I had to go do that.
Mhm.
Yes, we have a choice. We had a choice to shut down. We have a choice not to do something. Now, is it easier sometimes? Absolutely. And
Mhm.
sometimes when we feel like we can't do anything, what I do is I do what's called the I care system. And
Okay.
it's a short, sweet little thing if I can
Yeah.
explain it.
Of course.
So I care. I care is an acronym. ICARE. I
Mhm.
stands for go inside of myself. So
Okay.
take whatever situation's going on for you, and you
Mhm.
go, okay. So what scenario or do you get stressed out a lot about in your life?
Money. Mm,
Money.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Uh,
So
does it need to
elaborate.
be
Sure.
does it need to be specific?
No, but
Um,
if you have something.
no, just money in general. That is a literal trigger word for me. It's just money, and I immediately go like, I don't have enough. Like, we'll never have enough. you know. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I would just say money in general is a trigger for me that our world runs on. So it's something that I'm constantly stressing about.
Yeah, and that makes sense. When you go to the grocery store, you're thinking about money. When
Mhm.
you're needing something, you think about money,
Mhm.
and and a lot of times we take that externally,
Mhm.
and we go, why is the price this way, or I can't afford this. Again, I can't, as
Mhm.
opposed to what can I afford right now? What
Mhm.
can I do about this? Right?
Mm.
And start to open up that resource,
Uh-huh.
your own mind, your own body, your own
Mhm.
self. And so start with I. Go inside of yourself. Sometimes I ask people to close their eyes. I love to close my eyes because in massage therapy, I turn off my eyes, I turn off sometimes my hearing, and I go, what am I feeling? I'm a feeling
Mhm.
person. So I go, what's going on for me inside of myself right now? Is it really about money? Is it
Mhm.
about paper? Is it about a currency? Or is
Mm.
it that I feel like I'm not fulfilled in my life?
Mhm.
What is it for you?
Hmm. For me, it would be that I am either A, insecure, or B, not good enough.
Okay.
Mhm.
So not enough money to I'm not good enough,
Well,
right?
as in probably more along the lines of being raised as a man in today's society is if I don't work and produce enough, then I'm not worth being a person, essentially. So to me, it's like if I fail in this regard, then I'm not a person. So that's how deep that goes. So,
Yeah.
mm-hmm,
And what happens too is that all of the conscious and subconscious things that we think, feel, and act upon came
mm-hmm,
from when we were younger, right?
yep,
It came
mm-hmm,
from, the imprint stage, came from, under 4 years old, everything we
mm-hmm,
heard from our caregivers, all of those things leading up to now, right? Our
mm-hmm,
experiences. And so that being given, you can say all you want, I am good enough, but it doesn't
mm-hmm,
hit here. It
mm-hmm.
doesn't hit your wallet. It doesn't hit your pocketbook.
Yep, yep,
Right?
yeah,
Right?
uh-huh,
So when I go inside of myself or when you go inside of yourself, the I and I care
mm-hmm,
is is what resource do I have that I can be enough? What resource do I have that I am or have enough resources, money, and does it have
mm-hmm,
to be a dollar? Is your resources your personality? Is your
mm-hmm,
resources a kind gesture? Is your
mm-hmm,
resource a connection to, someone else in your life? Because that's currency also. It's not necessarily paper money, but it's currency. And you can
Mm.
trade that, you can give that, you can receive that. That's a different form of money.
Hmm. I never actually thought of smiles or laughs that way. That's awesome. I love that. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that's what I kind of, bring forth in the I care, because it's,
Mm-hmm.
go inside myself and, what else is there? C, contain the problem. Again,
Mm-hmm.
the C is contain it. Is it about money itself, or is it
Mm-hmm.
about not being fulfilled? For me, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times it wasn't about being fulfilled. And
Mm-hmm.
then A, you know, be aware of
Mm-hmm.
what it is. Because, if you don't have a Lamborghini, is that your expectation or is that someone else's? I don't need or want a Lamborghini. It's okay.
No. No thanks.
Right? And so, I mean, is that for somebody else or is it for you? So have that
Mm-hmm.
awareness of who you're wanting to, um, not necessarily please, but who do you want it for?
Mm. So, like, who am I trying to be enough for? Gotcha.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Is it a
Hmm.
relationship? Is it yourself? Is it a caregiver, from your past, a teacher, a parent, right?
Hmm.
So it's that kind of thought process.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the eye care system because it can be super deep. It can be
Mm-hmm.
like introspective and you can sit there and ponder it for a little while and do some deep work. Or you
Uh-huh.
can simply go, my awareness is I wanted, I wanted a steak dinner tonight. I don't have the resources in my bank account right now. All right, great. I guess it's a hamburger. You know what I mean? So it can be something as simple as that.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So it can be super light or super deep as far as
Mm-hmm.
this quick little simple system, and then go to R in I care. After the
Uh-huh.
A, the R is realign what's important to you. Well, if it's a
Mm.
steak dinner and what's really important to me is I'm hungry, that's my
Mm-hmm.
number one priority is food. There's that hamburger. There you
Ah.
go. I love it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then once you've made that decision, because decision is really important to do,
Mm-hmm.
because what happens? We get stressed out just by going, well, it could be this or it could be that. It could be
Mm-hmm.
this or it could be that. And that teeter totter, that indifference, that I'm in nowhere
Mm-hmm.
land is difficult for a lot of people, including myself.
Mm-hmm.
But that
Same.
indecision,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the indecision's so difficult. Once you realign and go, what's my number one priority? You figure that out. You make a decision and go, yep, it's a hamburger. Got it. Now, E. E is the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
Energize your decision. Get
Mm.
behind it. Don't second guess yourself. Don't go, well, I could have, if I could have gotten, like that really inexpensive steak, or I could have gotten that really, like I could split a steak with somebody. Or you
Mm-hmm.
go, no, what? It's going to be an awesome hamburger. That's what I want. It's going to be fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Energize it. Make that
Uh,
decision with energy and excitement.
you know, I'm really glad that you said that because I am one of those people that I can be really indecisive, but I can also be a really big second guesser. And I think that it's kind of like I used to not like roller coasters until I got on enough of them, because but it's once I get past that point of no return, then I actually end up enjoying whatever it kind of is. And that's one of those things is that second guess it'll kill a lot of motivation and just whatever was pushing me towards whatever that second guess, that turnaround is like an immediate break on the line or whatever. It's so weird. So I'm really glad that you said energize on that. But I care. So ICARE.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so can you spell it out again?
Sure, I
I.
care. So
Mm-hmm.
I go inside.
Okay. Go inside.
C
Mm-hmm.
contain the problem.
Contain the problem. Okay.
Mm-hmm. A be aware of what's happening. What is it really about?
Be aware. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then R realign
R.
your priorities. What's important
Realign.
to you? Yep.
Realign
And
priorities.
then mm-hmm. And then E energize it.
E. Energize. Ooh, I love it.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to write that down. Um,
Yeah. And then the great thing about it is the acronym is I care. So when you say it
mm,
to yourself, and if you think no one else cares about you, no one else cares about what you're doing, I
I do.
care.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then you can internalize it and think, Sarah cares about me, absolutely.
Mhm.
Or big I,
Mhm.
me, myself, Keegan, I care about me. I care. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So I love the play on words of it
Mhm.
because whatever you need in that moment, that's what it's really for.
Yeah.
It's your interpretation. And if you want to shift gears on it and make it
Mhm.
your own, do that. But that's a 2 minute technique that I have in my book
Mhm.
where it's really made to make it your own.
Mhm.
Because I created this, I've done this for 20 years, and I
Mhm.
put these 2 minute techniques into this book so that it can be yours. So
Mhm.
that if you have someone in your life that's struggling with something, share it with them, and they share it with somebody
Mhm.
else, and they share it with somebody else, and then that way, hey, it doesn't. You don't need money. You don't need
Mhm.
to. Pay for experience or pay for information or knowledge or education or an experience. We can
Mhm.
share things between one another. And I want to
Mhm.
see people grow and be healthy and, break that stress cycle. So
Mhm.
I care.
I care. I love that. And it's something that you could just turn to someone real quick and just be like, "I'll be right back. I got to go get some eye care real quick."
Hmm.
And they'll have no idea what you're talking about, but you can just sneak off a little bit and go. And you said 2 minutes. And did you choose 2 minutes for any particular reason, or is it
It's
just?
well, it's funny because so many times people go, "Oh, I'll teach you this technique. It's really super super simple and easy," and they explain it for half an hour, right?
Uh
So we
huh.
just explained that, I don't know, about 10 minutes, but it can
Mhm.
be as simple as having the problem and going right through it, right?
Mhm.
And so I wanted to have something quick and easy to do. And
Mhm.
really, where it really, really stemmed from is when I would get my client off the table when I was doing a massage,
Mhm.
and I was walking them back to the area that I picked them up in, which is called the tranquility area.
Mhm.
I had about 2 minutes to explain some kind of self care, aftercare, and I had to make it concise. And not that I do eye care with them a lot,
Uh
but,
huh.
a stretch or a grounding technique or having that flip of your language and internalizing, you know, starting to think, okay, where am I having resourceful language or non resourceful language? So just
Mhm.
a 2 minute technique, and I just wanted to condense it to make it easy for everybody. And,
Ah.
teach it to somebody else, get the
Mhm.
book and give it to somebody else. Whatever that is, we can start breaking the stress cycle. We can start breaking habits that we haven't even formed yet.
Mhm.
Because what I notice, especially in mental health, when I notice, bringing it back to unhealthy habits,
Mhm.
right? I was in the food and beverage industry. What we did every night after work, we would go have a drink. Part
Mhm.
of what I did as a food and beverage manager is we would go to a different restaurant in our property and do checks on people and checks on the service and checks. Well, guess what? Guess who was doing this all of the time? Right? So it becomes a habit. And when that
Mhm.
habit you get something out of, then can cause an addiction. And then you need
Mhm.
it, right?
Yep.
And
Mhm.
so if we can understand that some of these habits create a non resourceful, pattern, we
Mhm.
can start to break it before it happens. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, if we've already been in the addiction world, it's harder to break it,
Mhm.
but
Oh
you
yeah.
can break that pattern before you start going in another direction with another bad habit and
Mhm.
another addiction, because that's the propensity, right? once
Mhm.
once you are removed from one situation, we have a propensity to, go down another path with something else.
Mhm.
And so when you recognize that in your body and how you're feeling and noticing a pattern that you're doing over and over again, you can break it before it becomes detrimental to you.
And I love that because patterns really do seem to run basically everything, you know? And if I'm not liking the pattern that I'm in, I need to go find myself another pattern. And so you're essentially handing people the keys to helping break patterns. And that's beautiful because it creates that ripple effect. And I know for myself, a habit is not going to be broke just after I do this 2 minute technique or any technique for that matter, just one time. It's something that I know I need to do a few times or however many times, and even once it starts to really dig its feet into my brain, I need to keep doing it because the the trauma is already there. It's been enforced by society and everything, so it's been going on for like what, 32 years. So
Yeah, absolutely. And you're absolutely right. And, there's some deeper work that, my partner and I do with our
mhm.
clients, and that's super, super deep work. But
Mhm.
let's take something as simple as what happens when you wake up in the morning? What do you get
Yeah.
on? Usually
Yeah.
it's this,
Yep.
right? And to break myself of that habit, because I started like, oh, somebody needs me. Who needs me at 6:30 in the morning? Nobody. Maybe that one time out of however many years. but
Mhm.
but truly, we want to reconnect. We want to get that dopamine hit. We want to feel alive.
Mhm.
And instead of picking this up, the first thing that I do in the morning, other than hitting snooze every once in a while, but or just turning off my alarm,
Mhm.
is the first thing that I do is, I pick up a glass of water. I have a glass of
Mm.
water next to my bed, and I go through a couple mental things, but
Mhm.
for a physical action, I pick up my glass of water. I halfway get out of bed, and I drink a glass of water.
Mm.
Number one, that's my first glass of hydration, which I promote very heavily is hydration.
Yeah.
But it gives you a good habit to start your day.
Mm.
Hydration, starts your digestive system. It starts your whole momentum
Mhm.
of you know the restroom part.
Yeah.
Right, it helps for healthy digestion, right?
Yeah.
So, and I don't drink coffee, so it's one
Mm.
of those things where, again, you start replacing good things with other things before it becomes something that's not resourceful for you. So
Mm.
I have a more than amazing routine that I'll
Mhm.
share with your audience.
Okay.
I can give it away. If you go to free gift from Sara, Sara, freegiftfromsara.com. I did a little training on it, so go to that. You can listen to it however you want to, whichever platform you're on. And in about 30 minutes, you'll have about, I think there's 15 different 15-second techniques you can incorporate into your morning throughout your day. I mean, it's quick
Oh.
and simple and easy. So if you
Mhm.
start doing little things to help, you know, um, have a good routine, have, positive habits, resourceful habits, things
Mhm.
that move you toward what you want rather than move you away from what you want, then
Mhm.
it helps you in your entire in your entire life.
Ooh. That's awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
one more time, that was free gift.
Free gift,
From.
GIFT, from
Mhm.
Sara, me, Sara, Sara.com.
Okay. Oh wow.
Yeah.
That is super duper awesome. So before I check it out, I gotta thank you in advance. Um, and well, uh, man, free gifts. I wish I had more of a gift I could do besides just putting this out there for everyone. But I mean, I guess that's why you came on the show, is to help get people to help break their stress cycles so that they can find some stress relief. One of my questions though is whenever they start breaking and replacing them, they have to be careful with what exactly they're replacing it with, right? Because they need to make that habit something that is pours into their cup. Um, but what happens if someone doesn't is super indecisive of what to do because they have that free gift from you? So how could someone pick between all those different techniques? Which one works best? Trial and error?
So essentially, with that gift that I'm giving
Mm-hmm.
you, is I'll share the first couple with you. I wake
Okay.
up in the morning, and the first thing that I do is go through either a mantra or something that's gone on for me that I want to be more resourceful with. So
Mm-hmm.
if I haven't been feeling well, it's
Mm-hmm.
I feel amazing today. I'm healthy today. I have energy today.
Mm-hmm.
Takes 5 seconds to do that. That's the
Mm-hmm.
first thing that I do, right? And I put myself in a good mindset with things. And
Ah.
instead of going, oh, that's my alarm again. Oh, I don't want to get up. Listen to my language. I don't want to get up. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to go to
Mhm.
work. I don't want to, whatever it is.
Mhm.
When we replace it with, I get to get out of bed. I am healthy today. I am energized. Whatever that is for you, figure out what it is. I give you a little bit of help with that, but
Ah.
make it your own,
Mhm.
right? Again, the second
Yeah.
thing is get a glass of water.
Mhm.
That's number two. Well,
Mhm.
how long did that take? Not very long,
Okay.
right? The third thing I do is get up out of bed. I do a quick stretch. I raise my arms. It helps to open my back, helps to um, I touch my toes,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And that little stretch gets energy into my body, gets my blood flowing, right? And
Mm.
then from there, you can take it deeper. If that's when you
Okay.
want to do your workout, great. If after you drink your water, of course you're going to go to the bathroom, but after you drink your water, if that's when you want to make your daily shake,
Mhm.
your little hit of nutrition, that's when
Mhm.
you expand on it. That's why
Oh.
if you do these little techniques,
Mhm.
you can start implementing something that triggers, okay, now I want to eat healthy today. I'm going to
Uh-huh.
go make my shake. Okay, yeah, I want to go work out today. It triggers something else. And
Mhm.
it starts to form the good habits you want, not what anybody
Mm.
else wants. Because I've heard
Mhm.
so many people go, "Oh, I've got a 3 hour morning routine." Do you have 3 hours? Because I don't.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
I would love to sit in a corner and have like an amazing meditation for, half an hour, 45 minutes. I'd love it, but I don't
Mhm.
have that time.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do 15 seconds, sometimes I do 5 minutes. Sometimes I don't do it at all,
Mhm.
right? Depending on what's working for me, depending on what I need to do. And
Mhm.
don't get me wrong, there's sometimes you have to skip certain things.
Mhm.
But here's the thing, Keegan, if you set out to do 15 simple 15-second exercises and you
Mhm.
do 5, fantastic. Good job. You did 5 great things
Mhm.
as opposed to my bed's
Nothing.
unmade. I didn't hydrate today.
Mhm.
You know, I didn't do anything because at the end of the day, I'm going to imagine you're similar to me, is we start
Mhm.
ruminating at the end of the night.
Yeah.
I didn't get this done. I
Mhm.
I didn't I didn't make what I thought I was going to make. I didn't close the sale. I didn't get that client. I didn't, XYZ.
Mhm.
You go, "You know what? I got my hydration in today. Good job.
Mhm.
Yeah, I did make my bed today. Yeah, I did have my nutrition shake today." Whatever it is,
Mhm.
you get to set your own rules. You get to set your own goals. But this
Oh.
just gives you a platform and a jumping off space to start to form better habits and to start thinking more resourceful,
Mhm.
right? Because if plan A doesn't
Yeah.
work, what's plan C, D, E, F?
Uh-huh.
Because we're going to fail, we're going to fail, we're going to fail, we're going to fail.
Mhm.
But if you keep getting up,
Mhm.
when's that one time you are going to hit your expectation or hit that goal or hit the thing you want to do?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh,
It makes
I
you
love.
sleep better at night.
Yeah, I can imagine so. And
Yeah.
I love it because you're really just helping people break those stress cycles. You're helping people start the day off right. And those two things right there are, well, just, I think, key to mental health because all of them, if I don't have a good start to my day, then the rest of the day can just be, well, downright awful. And then if am stuck in those stress cycles, then nothing is going to change,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not what I'm trying to do. But one of the things I wanted to ask you was whenever we talked about vacations way back at the beginning, um, you had said to have vacations replenish you. So, and that's kind of what we've essentially expanded on this whole time. I would kind of say, but we've not expanded on. We went into a couple of rabbit holes, right? So, how many more rabbit holes do you think you got?
Oh, I could go down lots of different rabbit holes.
Then I want to ask you real quick. I want to have everyone on the show multiple times. So can we expect to see you on the show? Because we are nearing the end of this episode. So we could see you on, oh, I don't know, in a few more months. Kind of see where life's been. See if I can't break some stress cycles of myself. And I don't know, maybe start some new habits. Um,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would love to reconnect, and anybody out there that wants to have some good replacements and some good habit forming, again, go to freegiftfromsarah.com.
mhm,
But even further than that is don't just listen to it, actually implement it.
mhm,
Because we're starting a wellness program, a well-being program, and it's a drug-free way to help let go of some extra pounds, to help have mental and clarity, and to really focus on your goals. And we're doing this as a 6-week program. And
mhm,
really, what I want to emphasize is that sometimes the way we've been doing things hasn't been resourceful. We've been talking about that,
mhm,
and what happens when we get into midlife,
mhm,
this is about midlife motivation. We get into midlife, the things that we
mhm,
used to do don't work anymore. So
mm,
we have to create different habits, different mindsets. We have to move forward and do something a little bit different than we did in the past. Our metabolism changes, our energy levels change, our hormone levels change. And
mhm,
so when we take midlife as something that's different than what we did in the past and move forward with in the future, we can address the differences in our metabolism slowing down.
mm,
We introduce things like nootropics, um, uh, things that like a GLP-1 that's not like Ozempic, something
mhm,
that's a little caramel that you chew instead of taking a shot of a drug, right?
mhm,
It's something that where we replace those bad habits of eating too much with something healthy into your body so we
mhm,
can have a way to burn calories faster. So again, that's how midlife is. We have to
mhm,
change something in the present to get
mhm.
the same results that we did in the past to have a better future. So absolutely, that's where we're going in our next phase. And so the next time we connect, I'd love to talk about that even more.
Yes, I would absolutely love that. And it works because it gives both of us a little bit of a buffer to kind of work on everything and see how everything develops.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
that is absolutely amazing. And real quick, let's plug in your books one more time. Stressed out and don't know what to do. And what else?
Yes. And the second book is called Self Awareness in Communication. And real quick about this book, if you have a second,
Uh huh.
is you talked about the ripple effect. So if you
Mhm.
see the white ripple with the feather, challenging story is one of my really good friends. Her name is Kat. She
Mhm.
unfortunately passed away due to lack of communication, lack of resources, and a misunderstanding.
Mhm.
Lack of communication. Her and her husband both died on the same night and left her 3 children behind. The oldest was 13 at the time. This happened last year. And I told her family that I would finish and publish her book, which is what this is. So this is a heart space project. So 100% of the sale of this book, go get this book. 100% of the sales of this book go to her 3 kids.
Oh,
um,
that's awesome.
and it will help you with again having that self-awareness in your relationships and the communication that you have with yourself and with others.
Mhm.
And for anybody that wants to comment in this section and reach out to me, I will walk through some of the techniques in this book with you for free, um, just as a thank you for getting that book.
Mhm.
And it's something that you and I can kind of touch base about too and set some goals. And if anyone wants to set some goals around 2025, when when we're still in the early months of 2025, let's do it. I want to help as many people as I can. That's my midlife motivation, um, message to everybody this year. So however I
Awesome.
can help you, I want to.
That's awesome. And that is so sweet of you. And I just commend you on that book. Thank you on their behalf for doing that. And for anyone out there listening, 988 is a number that you can call if you are in crisis. So please give that number a call before anything else. And definitely get that book. Yeah. Oh, man. That is just self awareness and communication. Oh, man. I can't believe that, though. Mm, you're such a kind person.
She was a very kind person. Thank you
mm,
for saying that. I appreciate that.
mm-hmm.
And let's continue that ripple effect.
Yeah.
Let's continue to helping other people with the challenges that they have,
Mm-hmm.
and get to some people before they have the challenges that they are about to have,
Mm-hmm.
and get and seek help that you need. If it's 988, if it's seeking out a professional, if it's getting
Mm-hmm.
some guidance, whatever that is for you, because again, thank you for opening this conversation. And this means more to so many people to actually have something of substance and a
Mm-hmm.
safe place that they can listen to you and turn to for these types of communication, this kind of connection with other people, because so many times we feel like we're alone. We feel like we're
Mm-hmm.
the only one going through whatever we're going through.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that may be the exact case, but someone else is going through something similar.
Mm-hmm.
Something else can connect to what you're going through. And you never know who's going to help you, and you never
Mm-hmm.
know who you're going to be able to help. So
Yep.
continue to share your stories, continue to seek, connection with others.
Mm-hmm. Extremely powerful stuff. Thank you very much, Sarah. And again, thank you everyone for listening on WDJY 99.1 FM. And Sarah, I can't wait to have you back on. This has been an absolute pleasure, and I can't wait to speak to you again. So, until then, everyone out there, y'all have a good night. Shalom. And, um, and there we go. Stop. That is way too cool of you to do that. Holy cow. That's second.